Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Happy January 20th, 2023. It's Friday, which means time for another store review. We've got two Chinese New Year events going on right now. We'll talk about those first, and then we'll hop into the store. So first, we've got Gifts of the Moon. First victory of the day will get you 5 red pouches, 1 red pouch for each victory thereafter. We've got about 9 days left, so you should be able to complete most of this fairly easily. Looks like the best thing out of here is going to be the gold boosters. You're going to get 10 of them here at level 4, and then once you get to the top level, looks like you're going to get 5 10 times over, so that's 50, 60. If you win 50% of your battles at tier 10, that's 900 gold out of this free event right here. Another event also with victories down here at the bottom. You're going to get 2 of these flags for wins in battles tier 4 and higher. Camo containers here, 20 boosters here, and then the collect them all containers, 3 of them, which essentially is a 5% drop chance for a tank and a 95% drop chance for a charm. And like I said, if you get a two flags for each victory, tier 4 through tier 10, and if you get a class 2 or higher mastery badge, you'll get 2 additional flags. So again, 2 events here based upon wins, and then at the top here, these hairs are you can only get those in store, so you're gonna have to buy gold in store to get those. It looks like the lowest amount for a lantern, which can be turned in for a tank, is 298. For 2 lanterns, it's going to be 588. Let's jump into the store and we'll talk about the potential tanks out of these lanterns and see what else is available right now. So here are the 2 tanks that you can cash in for lanterns. The AMX 105. This is a French tank destroyer, great mobility. Really enjoy this tank in a perspective of kind of sniping from the back early, using its great mobility to then get into positions to do damage, and then use its high damage per minute numbers to kind of clean up towards the end of the battle. And again, good mobility on this tank, pretty decent armor. And that will be 1 lantern. It's kind of interesting that they're wanting 2 lanterns for the WZ-121 GFT, which is also a tier 8 tank destroyer. Chinese tank. It's got some really good armor in the front. The gun's a little bit trolly, not as accurate as the AMX. But 1,100 hit points on this tank makes it kind of challenging to play now that people know how to pen it a little bit better. If you do end up getting 2 lanterns, you can also get the AMX and a mystery certificate. And as we mentioned before, this is guaranteed to get you a tank. However, when you look at, we've got several tier 10s, which would be wonderful to pull those, several tier 9s, but as we start scrolling down, we'll see just how many tier 7s and tier 6s fill out this list, tier 5s. So most likely going to pull a tier 5 or tier 6 out of this list if you go that route. So let's look at what else is in containers. The WZ-114 container still out there. You know, I've watched videos on this tank, and quite honestly, it's one of those few tanks I really have no desire even to own myself, which is pretty rare. Just looks slow, big gun, not my play style at all. So Chinese containers, we can talk about those. Again, not a big fan of the containers, but I will say when you look at these, here are the potential tanks that you'll get out of this, and gold in return if you already get a tank that you've received before. But you're guaranteed to either come away with a tank or a little bit of gold here. As you can see, 50% chance of getting 500 gold, 30% chance of 750, 10% out of 1,000. It really not a good deal. If you think you spend $5 to get 2 containers, you end up with 1,000 gold. it's not a great conversion rate, to be honest with you. Let's scroll on down. We're getting towards the latter half of the month. Still time to get in on the battle pass. Really enjoying the Cyborg, the M6 skinned tank. If you do decide to get the battle pass, I would recommend getting the license, which will open up multiple weeks, and you can quickly get through those. Just be aware that you're going to have to play quite a few battles to fill up those gold vaults. You're going to get 3,000 gold out of this if you can fill up those gold vaults. That's 2,000 in the gold vaults. So make sure you can get enough wins to fill up your gold vaults, and that's where the value comes in with the battle pass. So I prefer to see you purchase that if you're going to. The beginning of the month, make sure you have enough time to get those wins in to fill up those vaults. I'm going to skip over the resources, kind of keep this as quick as possible. The A32, $4. Let's see what you get in return. I like the fact here that you're going to get 30 gold boosters. The 5X applies to any tank, and you're going to get 1450 out of the A32 if you decide to sell it. So it really does not work out to be too bad of a deal. Going to give you a garage slot in those 14 days of premium time. A32 I have not played in a long time. I know this tank did suffer with pen on the gun for quite some time. Not sure if that is still the case. And the IS-2 SH and the Chrysler K. I am getting so tired of seeing this bundled together again. I do not like seeing two exact same playstyle tanks together, especially with the Chrysler K being so much better than the IS-2 SH. If you get both of these and you play just one battle in the IS and one in the Chrysler, it's going to be apparent to you which tank is better. I would almost say you're better off just buying the Chrysler K and forgetting about the IS-2 SH. It's just not a good tank overall compared to the Chrysler. So I'm not a big fan of the bundle here. I'm really not recommending the Chrysler K at 7,500 by itself. It is unique in the sense of its playstyle. It does side scrape extremely well. It face hugs like a boss. The armor is really tough up close. So just keep that in mind, but it is a difficult playstyle because I feel like most of the battles are played in hills and terrain that does not fare exactly well for the Chrysler K. Another solid tier 8 heavy tank, the WZ112-2. Gonna get 2 collect 'em all containers out of this. Not a whole lot of benefit there. The 5X only applies to the tank. 7,500, you are going to get the premium camo as well. So it's not too bad of a deal. To me, this really depends on how many tier 8 heavy tanks do you have. Because a lot of these have a very similar gun and play style. But what I do like about this tank, it does not have that pike nose like a lot of these tier 8 heavy tanks have. So it allows you to angle this tank easier. I feel like this tank bounces more shots than the typical, IS-3 type of pike nose tanks that we're used to seeing. So just keep that in mind. So I'm okay with the price at 7,500 for everything that comes in with that bundle. Just a few days left on the Universal Platoon, the Pilot and the Eagle, which is a tier 7, Pilot being a tier 8. I would imagine these could be a challenging tanks to play, just because, there's really not any great play style for the tanks. They just do everything pretty good or just above average. Typical American tanks. The Pilot, I like the mobility on it, and the gun is quite accurate. Just does not have, say, the armor of what you would expect on a typical American per se. But 4,500 gold for a tier 8 medium tank, not a bad price. Just be aware that, it's probably a sub 50%er when it comes to where I would rate this as far as mediums and premiums in that regard. Churchill 3, I don't really have a lot to say about this. Not a big fan of the slow heavy tanks like this. It is tier 5. The 5X are going to be just for this tank. It does come with 7 days of premium time, so really the price isn't horrible. However, 1,500 gold spent on a tier 5 that you're probably not going to play too frequently. You might be better off just saving this for a tier 8 or higher tank. And we did mention this Menacing trio for 7,500 gold is better for those of you that are newer to the game. And part of the reason that I said that, you're going to get 3 tanks with totally different playstyles. The Lava here is your typical heavy tank. You gotta watch out for this small little area here, which is your biggest weak spot in the front. And then if you over angle this tank, the sides are fairly easily penned. So you really have to watch your angles with this tank, but it has one of the highest credit coefficients in the game. So it's gonna earn you good credits. The T-34 is going to teach you that typical American hold down play style. You can see from this turret and this angle, if you can get this thing just angled back just a little bit, there's not much you can see of that hatch. If you can cover the rest of the hull here, playing this in a great hold down position, giant mantlet, pretty strong cheeks on this tank. It's great hold down to learn how to play. T-34 though, the gun is going to troll you from time to time, so just keep that in mind. And then you've got the IS-6 with its classic style here, spaced armor on the side, and just an overall just average heavy tank in my opinion. But for the price of 7,500 gold, which is what we typically see for 3 tier 8 tanks, you're going to get 3 tanks for that price. So I like the price, but I feel like it's only for those that are newer to the game, to get yourself into a few premium tanks early on that can grind you credits so that you can then turn those credits and buy those tech tree tanks that you're researching. So here we get to the gold and the hairs, and now I can't remember what we said were those numbers. Let's go back. So to get 1 lantern, you need a 298, 588 for 2 lanterns. So we go back to the gold section, 298, gonna be about a $50 investment. So you're gonna come away with 35,000, and I'm sorry I used the word investment, spending your money for future use on tanks and entertainment. So it's a $50 expenditure. You're gonna get 324. That'll allow you to get 1 lantern, which you could change in for, I would recommend the AMX at that point in time. Now you're going to have to go up to spending nearly $100 in order to get enough for 2 lanterns. And even then, if you did that, I would almost lean towards the AMX and the certificate for the tank, guaranteed tank. Kind of a hefty investment there for the WZ. And I'm using that word investment. Sorry, it's just ingrained in my head. I can't change it. But anyway, yeah, so that's the store. It's kind of disappointing. I did want to, and I meant to mention this early in the video. If you're stuck with me here, I would really like to know if you come up to your filters, turn off all your filters, how many tanks do you have in your garage? You know, I'm just looking at a future video and I'm wondering, you know, 100, 200, 300, where do you guys stand with the number of tanks in your garage at the moment? So with that, guys, hope you have a great weekend. And remember to get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.